นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอเสวนาจะบาลานังปันดิตานันจะเสวนาปูจาจะปูจานิยานังเอตังมังคลมุตตมันติ So first of all, may I pay homage to the Buddha, to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha. May I respect the elders, the teachers, and hello everyone, all the friends, all the lay devotees, and all the listeners. So today is the first Dhamma talk. So this whole series from today onwards, it's gonna be about the Maṅgalasutta. The Maṅgalasutta is regarded as one of the most important sutta in the Buddhism. So this sutta is intended for the lay people normally. For the Buddhist or lay people, they should know this Maṅgalasutta or the sutta or discourse about the blessing. So this Maṅgalasutta consisting of the 38 blessing factors from the very beginning until the end. These 38 blessing factors are the factors which lead one life to the happiness, to the peacefulness, as well as to the nibbana. So in Buddhism, normally Buddhist people, we chant this sutta in daily life. So every day, like during the chanting times, normally this sutta is chanted. Therefore, it becomes one of the most popular sutta in the Buddhism. So before going to what is these 38 blessings, I'm gonna brief about the background story about Maṅgalasutta in the Maṅgala Atthakatha or Maṅgala commentary. So in the commentary, it is mentioned that there was an assembly hall where people gather together and discuss some matters, some story. Some matter lasts for 2-3 days. Some matter lasts for 7 days. Some matter lasts for 1 month. Some matter lasts for 4 months. It depends on how deep of their subject is. But every time when the matter about something happened in the cities or the matter about the philosophies, so they can settle all those matters. One day, one matter occurs. So one group of people, they raise one question: what is Maṅgala? What is blessing? So one group of people answers: seeing the beautiful things, seeing the beautiful lady, seeing the beautiful bird, seeing the blue sky, seeing the young birds, and so on. This is considered as the blessings. It is in Pali is called Ditta Maṅgala. When someone answers like this, some group of people do not agree. They said, how about if we seeing some very ugly form, very non-beautiful lady, and also very ugly birds, and some very ugly things? Then how can that things become Maṅgala, become the blessings? So the second group said the blessing is hearing the wonderful sounds, like hearing the music, hearing the pop music, hearing the voice of the very sweet women, and so on. So the second group regarded as the blessing. In Pali is called Sutta Mangala. But still, the second party or second group also do not agree with this. Why is that? They say sometimes we hear the very harsh sound, such as when people argue with each other, when people quarrel with each other. So then those kinds of sound cannot be blessings. So the third group mentions, so the blessing is touching the soft thing, tasting the good food, and also smelling the fragrance and so on. So those are considered as the blessing. But the first and second also do not agree with that. So when there are three groups answer in different ways, so they got into arguments. This matter did not settle. So it is mentioned it spread very far from the village to cities, from the cities to the countries, and even from the human world to the Deva world, and to the Deva world to the until the Brahmas. And it is mentioned that from protecting deities until the Akanita realms, which is one of the highest realms in Buddhism. So people also divided into three groups. Deva also divided into three groups. Even Brahman also divided in three groups, except the noble beings. Apart from that, they cannot settle these matters. Then one deity or one deva, he approached the Sakka and he asked the Sakka, what is Mangala, what is blessings? The Sakka, the chief or the lord of the deity, asked, where do you get this question? Then the deity informed that this question was arose in the human world. Then the Sakka asked, then now where is the Buddha? Then he answered, the Buddha also in the human world. Then the Sakka said, why do you abandon the Buddha and approach me? It's like you abandon the heap of fire and search of firefly. So please go back to the Buddha and ask this question. Surely he will be able to answer this question. That's why the deity approached the Buddha, stood and asked this question, what is the blessings? So the deity said, many people, including humans and devas, they have doubts about the blessings. So may the Buddha or may the blessed one answer this question, or may the blessed one tell us. So then the Buddha start, as I have mentioned earlier, then the Buddha explained or expounded the 38 blessings factors. So for the first verse, it contains the 3 blessing factors, as I have recited at the very beginning of this Dhamma talk. That is asevana cha balanang, panditanang cha sevana, puja cha pujaniyanang, etang Maṅgalamuttamang. So the very first blessing is asevana cha balanang. That is dissociating or not associating the fool, the foolish person. The second one, panditanang cha sevanang, associating the wise. And then the third blessing is puja cha pujaniyanang. That means worshipping people who is worthy of worshipping. So this is called blessing, or this is called Maṅgala. So today we are going to talk about the very first blessing factors, that is asevana jabalanang. So I'm going to clarify 3 points. One is, what does the bala word mean? The second one, I'm going to talk about the characteristic of the fool, the characteristic of the stupid person or foolish person. And number 3, I am going to talk about the associating asevana, how associating the fool is very bad. So these are the 3 points that I'm going to preach today. So we jump into the first one. That is, what does this bala term mean? So in bala, in Pali means, generally translation is the fool, the foolish person. But in grammatical way, the term bala means young or weak. If you say in Pali the young dog, you can say bara sunakha. The young tree, you can say bara rukha, something like that. So, but this bala in this blessing, it does not refer to the young boy or young girl or the teenager, something like that. But young in this case is young in terms of wisdom, in terms of mindfulness. So whoever has the young or weak wisdom and mindfulness, that person is considered as the fool. So instead of settle the matter or settle the issue with the wise way, with the wisdom, he settled with the strength of the body. Right? Instead of using the strength of wisdom, he used the strength of the body. Okay, I give you example. So this really happened. So there are 2 houses established near each other. I will say house number A and house number B. So house number A, the owner of the house number A, he planted 1 tree and he planted near the wall. So the second house also planted the cherry plant near the wall. So when the tree getting very big, so its branch hangs over the house number B. So then one day there is the strong wind, so it strike the branch of the trees, and the branch broken down and fell into the cherry trees. So when the owner of the house number B saw that, he complained to the owner of the house number A that, why don't you take care of your tree? Because of the branch of your tree broken to my cherries, now all my cherry is destroyed. Then they got into arguments, and then for somehow the temper goes higher. So the owner of the house number B pull out the gun and shoot the owner of the house number A, without using the wisdom that the broken branch of the tree is because of the wind, not because of the owner of the house. You see, if he used the wisdom and mindfulness, then he will not shoot people and went to the jail. All right? So this kind of behavior, instead of using wisdom, but use the tempers, use the strength, use the knife, this kind of behavior is considered as the fool. It's considered as the fool here. In the commentary of Maṅgalasutta, the Buddha, in the commentary of Maṅgalasutta, it is mentioned The term bara means the one who just breathes in and breathes out without performing any wholesome deeds. That is considered as bara. So in brief, the term bara means the foolish person who has a weak mindfulness and wisdom. So that is the bara, the term bara means. So now we come to the second point. The second point is about the characteristic of the fool. So normally, we, we stay in the society or we are associated with people, we cannot distinguish, right? He is the fool, he is not the fool. By looking at their clothes, looking at their ornaments, looking at their face and so forth, we cannot know. There is no label on their forehead that this person is the fool. No, so we cannot know. So in order to know that which person is the fool, which person is bara, we have to look at the characteristics of that person. So in Buddhism, there are two ways of looking at the characteristic of the fool. One way is mentioned by one hermit called Akiti, and then the second way is mentioned by the Buddha himself in the Bharapandita Sutta. So we are going to explain the first way first, that is the way of Akiti hermit. So this Akiti hermit also, he was a millionaire before. So when he grew up, then this hermit also, Akiti hermit also was the son of the millionaire. When he grew up, he went to Takasila, he learned all the subjects, and then he came back home. Not long after that, his parents passed away. Then the wisdom arose in his mind. He thought, what is the use of the wealth abandoned by my parents? Even when they pass away, even one penny they could not take with them. What is the point of me guarding this useless thing? He said, it's better that I share to the one who need it. So then he shared all the wealth to the other peoples, and then he went to the forest very far away, and he made one hut, built one hut, and ordained as an ascetic or as a hermit, and then he tried to practice meditation. But one season is very drought season, so he could not find the fruit easily. So he has to eat. He has to eat the leaves. He has to eat the bark of the trees. So because of that, because of his virtues and also his good qualities, then the Sakka come to know him. Then the Sakka, or the Lord of Deity, he approached the hermit and then asked, like, Venerable Sir, if you need any food, any clothes, any lodgings, I can provide for you. Please tell me, what do you need? Then the hermit Akiti mentions, I do not want anything. Either the food, either the clothes, or either the lodgings. I can survive with the bark of the trees, with the leaves. But if you would like to provide me a boon, you would like to give me the wish, then I prefer one thing. Then the Sakka asked, what is that? Then the hermit said, I do not want to associate with the fool. I do not want to see the fool. I do not want to hear anything from the fool. And also, I don't want to get close to the fool. Then the Saka asks, why is that? Then the hermit Akiti explained the 5 characteristics of the fool. So we are going to learn these 5 characteristics. By learning them, then we're gonna understand who is the fool is. Because as I have mentioned, if we look at on the outside, only the clothes and the face and so forth, we cannot know, we cannot understand fully whether this person is the fool, this person is good, all right. So because sometimes the fool can stay with us, in the same house, in the same school, in the same company, or even in the same monastery. So in order to know that person is the fool, we have to look at these 5 characteristics. So one characteristic, the first characteristic mentioned by Akiti is Anayam Nayati Domedho. So the fool leads one to do bad deeds. And then the second one is Adhurayang Nayunjati. So he interferes others' work. He does not perform his work. And then the third one is Dunnayo Seyaso Hoti. So he prefers or he likes what is bad. And then the fourth one is Samma Vutto Pikupati. Even rightly spoken, he gets angry. And then the last one, Vinayam So Najanati. So he doesn't know the discipline. Even he knows discipline, he does not follow that. So we are going to explain these 5 characteristics. So as I have mentioned, the first one, Anayang Nayati Domedho. So the fool, the foolish person, he leads you to do bad deeds. So the first characteristics we have to look at is the persuasion. So there are 2 ways. The first one is he persuades you by whispering you to do bad deeds, telling you to do bad deeds, or showing you to do bad deeds. Even it is through the social medias, even through the internet and so forth, that also including in these first characteristics. So one of the very famous app is called TikTok app. This TikTok is considered as the most downloaded app in the world right now. I have never used it. I read one article about this TikTok. That article is called Deadly TikTok Challenge. So normally this TikTok is the platform for people to perform certain activities, such as singing, imitating, and making jokes and so forth. But some bala or some foolish people, they lead or they persuade some people to do bad things as well. So in this article, the Deadly TikTok Challenge, it mentions 2 very bad content which is produced by the fool or by the bala. One content is called skull breaking. This one is 2 people ask the third person to jump up and kick his leg, and then he will fall down. This may cause him to get some injuries, deadly injuries, sometimes almost death. And then the second very bad content is called pass out challenge. This one is by asking people to hold their breath and then until they pass out. This is even worse. The result is many people got very bad injury as well as some are dead. So therefore, you see, they do not come and lead you to do anything bad directly, but by persuading, by telling you to do. That also including in here. And then the second way of looking at this is he will lead you to do this. He will become like the leaders and leads you to perform certain bad action. All right, bad action. So I tell you one story. So in the Buddha's time, there was also the son of the millionaire. So his parents loved him so much, they did not want him to get any difficulties. They did not want him to undergo any sufferings. They thought we have only this son, so we have a lot of wealth. Therefore, there is no need of him to study anything. So they did not provide any education for their sons. But after these two couples passed away, then the millionaire son got problems. That is, he did not know how to distinguish what is good, what is bad. He did not know how to work, how to manage the money, the wealth. So he only enjoys the life and also did not do any works. So gradually his wealth, which is passed from the parents, gradually reduced. And some servants or workers also took it away. So by not long after that, then he became very poor. Even he had the debt. So he has to sell the house in order to pay the debt. And gradually he became the beggars. So he was wandering around and begging for the food. Then the gangster or the thief, the group of the thief, saw this millionaire son, which is now become the beggars. They approached this young man and asked, "Why you perform such a low action by begging food from other people? You have strength. You are young, so please come with us. We are going to plunder the house. We are going to rob one house." Unfortunately, that night, they robbed or plundered the house of the king ministers. So what these gangsters did was they asked the new robber or these millionaire sons to guard the way. And most of them, they plundered the house and tried to search for the jewelry, try to search for the wealth. But because that house was the house of the king minister, so he knew that the king was in his house. Or he knew that the thieves were in his house. Therefore, he cleared the throat like and then all the thieves jumped out of the window and escaped. Then this minister thought there should be one person guard the way. So he also jumped out of the window of the house and then collected people from the village and surrounded these new robber or the millionaire sons. And finally, they caught him and presented him to the kings. And then a few days after that, he got executed. He got killed. And he got killed. And then he passed away. So you see, actually, if we look at, he is supposed to be very good son, and he is supposed to be a very good person. But by associating the thief, so he got killed by that. So therefore, the first characteristic of the fool is you look at their persuasion. If they lead you or if they persuade you to do bad deeds, that kind of person is called the fool or the foolish person, the Bala in Pali. And now we come to the second characteristics, that is Athula Yang Nayun Jati. So which means he does not perform his works, but instead he interferes the others' works. Like the cleaning lady, instead of cleaning the tables, cleaning the glass, and clean the house, and doing other things. So she tried to listen to the others workers, other assistant hire, and so on, and then get the information and import it and inform the information or reported information to the boss, so that she can get some praise or some award back. See, instead of doing his or her works, he tried to interfere other works. If you give him the works, this kind of person may not be able to perform it. Okay, but this person just try to abandon his job and try to interfere other. All right. So in English they may say, "This is none of your business." All right, something like that. Even the Buddha mentioned, "Napare sang vilomani, napare sang kata katang, atano wa avekeya, katani akatani cha." Right. So the Buddha says, please don't seek for the others' fault, right? Whether they are do this, do that or not. Please don't search for others. But atano wa avekeya katani akatani cha. But first, look at your job, whether you have done it or not. So the second characteristic of the fool is his work. If he did not perform any work that concerning him or her, and he abandons his work and try to interfere others' works, that is the second characteristic of the fool. So there is one story also. So there is one owner of the farm, and he is a very rich one. And normally he got the wealth from from selling rice a lot. But one season, so he got very little amount of money from selling the rice. So then he asked the manager, "What happened? Why this time you gave me very less amount of money?" Then manager mentions, "Because the rice in your storage were very few. Therefore, I can give you money only that." Then he investigated further. Then the farmer bullshit him. Then he also investigate farmer. Then farmer said, "I also do the same as the previous year, but your cow, your buffalo do not perform well. They are very weak. They look like they do not have enough food." And then according to the story, then the owner of the farmer also approached, the owner of the farm also approached the cow and asked, why are you very weak and you do not perform works very well?" He says, "Because I could not eat very well. Your dog is the problem. He doesn't know his duty. So his duty was just to, barking the thieves, just to prevent the robbers. But he prevent me to eat the grass, the water. whenever I approach the water and the glass, then he tried to bark at me and so forth. Then the owner of the farm know the dog is the problem. He doesn't know his duty, but he interfere another person's jobs. Therefore, he tied him under the house, and then after that, he got the same amount from selling the rice. So you see, because of dog interfere with the cow's work, then the whole system are gone. So if this was the person, that person was considered the fool. So this is the second characteristic of the fool. So now we come to the third characteristic of the fool. That is dunnayo seyaso hoti, which means he prefer or he likes. This person, he likes what is not good. Right? He likes playing fire. He likes drinking alcohol. He likes going out at night and doing some very bad thing like gangster does. And also he likes whatever which is bad. Right? If you like give him like which one do you want, like milk or alcohol? So the foolish person will say alcohol is better. Right? Alcohol is better. So whatever is bad, so he like that. So therefore, if we look at the third characteristic of the fool, that is his preference. He prefers something which is not good. All right? His mind always try to search for something which is bad. So that is the third characteristic of the fool. So there is one story mentioned also. So in the previous life, there was two monks. Somehow these two passed away. One person was reborn as a deity. Another person was reborn as the worm, in the chest pool. In the past, there was no toilet like nowadays, but chest pool only. There's no cover, all right? So the deities, the one who was born as the deity, so then when he was reborn there, he recalled, where was my friends? Then he saw that his friend was reborn as the worm in the chest pool. So he approached the worm and asked, "Hello, friends. What are you doing here?" All right. So the worm said, "I enjoy my life." Then the deity tried to invite him, "Please come to the heavens. All right. I can bring you to the heavens, which is full of sensual pleasures. There are a lot of sensual pleasures in the heavens. Please come and enjoy with me." But the worm asked, "So how do you get the food from the heavens?" Very easy, right? Very easy. Whenever I recall, or someone can provide me with the divine food. Divine food. Sometimes I can create by myself the food, right? And then the worm said, "See, for you, in order to get the food, you still have to create. You still have the effort. But for me, you see around me, all are the food, all right? All excrement are his food. So I am surrounded by the food. Every morning, people just come, or every evening, people just come and give me the food. So therefore, I cannot keep up this status. So please enjoy your life in the heaven. I will enjoy my life in the chest pool." You see, if this is just the story, but it says that some even we persuade to do good, but he prefers something which is very bad, which is not very good. Therefore, this is the third characteristic of the fool, which is he likes or he prefers something which is bad. So now we come to the fourth characteristic of the fool. That is samma vuttopi kuppati. Even though spoken rightly, he gets angry. All right. So if someone speaks something very nice to us, if we got angry very easily and very often, then we are the fool. If the teachers speaks rightly and student get angry very easily, then the student also the fool, and so on. I mean, if that person does not speak very nice, harshly, and you get angry, that's still understandable. But the other person speaks nicely with the good intention, and still that person get angry. Very often, he's very hot-tempered. That also considered as the characteristics of the fool. There's the fourth characteristic of the fool, that is looking at his temper, his temperature. All right. So we look at it at his temper, then we can know that he is the fool. Now we come to the last or the fifth characteristic of the fool mentioned by Hermit Akiti. That is Vinayam so najanati. He doesn't know any rules. So the one who doesn't know any rules, so he tried to do something very bad. He doesn't follow any rules. You know, some people, even though they know the rules, they graduate from the very high education. You know, and then they get the job in the very good. They get the very good job. They stay in the very high position, but sometimes they do not follow the rules. They corrupt. They do the corruptions, right? And also they kind of suppress the other, and they try to do many bad deeds because of power, because of position. Even though he know the rules, but if he do not follow it, that also considered as the fool. You know, some people, they do not, you know, some very innocent one, they does not know the rules because they do not have opportunity to learn it, but they do not perform any bad deeds. But some very learned person, still he doesn't follow the rules, right? Follow the rules. If anyone doesn't follow the rules, try to break the rules, then that person is considered as the fool. Considered as the fool. This is the fifth characteristic of the fool, that is looking at his behavior. So these are the 5 characteristics of the fool mentioned by Hermit Akiti. So, okay, the first one is we look at his persuasion. The second one, we look at his work, his job. The third one, we look at his preference. And then the fourth one, we look at his temper. And then the last one, we look at his behaviors. So these are the 5 characteristics of the fool mentioned by Akiti Hermit. That is the first way. So if the second way of looking at the characteristic of the fool is mentioned by the Buddhas, they are the same things, but looking at the different levels. For the Hermit Akiti, he looked at the outside behaviors. For the Buddhas, he looked at deeper by you know getting close to them. Then you will know not only his behavior but also his mind. The Buddha looked at the deeper ways. So it's just like when someone say that he gets sick. So when normal people, they check the sick or whether he's sick or he's ill, then we touch his forehead, we touch his body. If his body is hot or warm, then we consider that he is ill. But if we bring this sick person to the doctors, then he will surely diagnose, analyze very deeply what is his sickness and all. So in the same way, Akiti is also like normal people looking at the sick person, but the Buddha, when he look at the persons like the doctor look at the patient. Okay, so we are going to learn how the Buddha explained the characteristic of the fool. So this is mentioned in the Bharapandita Sutta. The Buddha mentions all the very bad things, all the perilous things are coming from the fool, not the wise. Then the Buddha mentioned the three characteristics of the fools. The first one is Dunchintita Chinti. He thinks the bad thought. The second one is Duphasita Bhasi. He speaks the bad words. The third one is Dukkata Kammakari. So he does or he performs the bad deeds. So these are the three characteristics mentioned by the Buddhas. For the first one, he thought only about the bad things. So it is mentioned, so he normally covets or greeds for other properties. He wants other properties. He covets for the other belongings. Or sometimes he thinks of hurting others, think of harming others. All right? And sometimes he has a very wrong views, rejecting like there is no gratitude of father, there is no gratitude of mothers, and there is no the karma and results and so on. So normally the fool person, the Buddha say, always thinks about the bad things, right? So that is the first characteristic of the fool mentioned by the Buddha. And then the second characteristic of the fool mentioned by the Buddha is he usually speaks only bad words. He usually tells lies. He doesn't tell the truth. He usually provides the false information. He usually also speaks very harsh words, very unpleasant words to the ear, and he usually try to speak to make the division of the people. If the monk also try to make the schism among the Sangha. And also his word is vain, useless, frivolous, so which is useless. So if person who usually speak lies, speaks harsh word, speak divisive word, and speak something which is not useful, this is also the second characteristic of the fool mentioned by the Buddha. And then the last characteristic of the fool mentioned by the Buddha is he usually performs the bad deeds. For example, he likes to kill living beings. He likes to kill even like the cows. He likes to kill the pigs. He likes to kill the chickens and so forth. He likes to harm others, and also he steals other properties. He usually rob other people, and sometimes he doing the sexual misconducts, by raping others' daughters. All right, those kinds of doing is considered as the third characteristic of Bala by the Buddha. So therefore, when the Buddha mentioned the three characteristics of the fool, then the Buddha mentioned this. Therefore, when the Buddha mentioned the characteristic of the fool, the Buddha mentioned these three characteristics. The first one is he thinks the bad thought. The second one, he speaks the bad word. And then the third one, he does the bad deed. All right? These are the three characteristics of the fool mentioned by the Buddha. And so these are two methods or two ways of looking at the fool. Right? So now we finished two points. One point is the term Bala. The second point is the characteristic of the fool. Now we come to the third one, that is the Asevana. All right? As I have mentioned, Asevana cha Balanang. So now we finish the Balanang Bala. So from now onwards, we are going to talk about the Asevana. So Asevana is come from Na and Sevana. All right? Na means not. Sevana means associating, which means dissociating or not associating the fool. So not associating also, there are two ways. The first one is getting close to the fool. So sometimes getting close to the fool doesn't mean that you associate the fool. Right? Sometimes, for example, our friend is the fool, our classmate is the fool, or sometimes our parent is the fool, our follower is the fool. So we cannot completely separate from them, because we have to treat them, we have to stay with them. Because by for example, the parents and the children, if the parents are the fool, then how can children completely separate from them? Sometimes the monks they went, or sometimes the monks they go to the jail, to preach Dhamma talks. So mostly people in the jail we consider as the fool. But when the monk associate or preach Dhamma talk to that, it doesn't mean that monk associate with the fool. All right, but he may getting close to that. Therefore, we have to be careful, even though we are close to them. It just as the poisonous water and also pure water. So if you place these two glasses of waters and on the table and ask one person to drink, then he may have doubts. To drink the pure water, then he may have doubts, because that pure water standing close to the poisonous water. So even though it's not mixed, but still we have to be careful, because danger from getting close to the fool is one thing, he may get harmed. The second one, he may get blames from the wise person. And then the third one, he may gradually tends to be the fool. So therefore, getting close to the fool also we have to be very careful. And then the real meaning of Sevana is accepting his opinion, pay respect to him, and follow his advice, and follow his instructions and all. So if you are associating like that, follow him like that, then this is the real Sevana. So we should not associate by following the full advice, the full persuasions and all. If we follow them, it just is like pouring the poisonous water into the pure water. Then it is cannot drink. Surely we will become full like that person. All right, like that person. Therefore, if we can avoid, then we should not get close to the food. But it is unavoidable, then we should not follow his advice. We should not follow his instructions, and so on. Therefore, asevana means not following, not accepting, not associating also can be included. I mean, not accepting his advice, not following his behaviors, not following his teachings. All right. So this is called asevana. So this is the third point. Third point. So today, so we learned 3 points. The first one is the term bala, which means the young or the weak, which is the weak of mindfulness and wisdom. And we talk about the characteristic of the fool, which is mentioned by hermit Akiti, and also mentioned by the Buddha. And then the last one, we talk about asevana. Asevana means not associate things, not accepting, not following the full advice. So before ending this Dhamma talk, I would like to give one very famous story to show that associating the fool is very bad. It brings a lot of destructions, a lot of perils. All right. This story is mentioned in the Buddhist text, and it is very famous story. The story about the king Ajatasattu. So he was before a king, he was a prince. Right? It's obvious he was a prince of the king Bimbisara. So now when he was very young, so when he was very young, he was very obedient. He was very nice to his father and to his mother, to the kings and to the queen. But one day, there was accidents happened to him. That accident, from that accident onwards, it changed his life completely. So that accident was the monk Theravādha. So this monk Theravādha at that time, so he before this monk Theravādha, before he was also the prince. Later he got ordination after the Buddha, and then he even got the mundane psychic power even. But he has the evil thoughts. Remember the ducintita cinti, right? So he has the evil thoughts. So he thought that before the Buddha also was the prince, I also was the prince, and the Buddha also now become the monk. Now also I become the monk. All right. So then, what is different between me and the Buddha? So why the Buddha gains the fame? Why the Buddha is very famous, but I am infamous. I do not get many properties. I do not get many offerings. So this monk Theravādha, so he looked for the supporter, and then he come to know that this prince Ajatasattu he was very easy to be persuaded. So then because he has psychic power, mundane psychic power, he approached the prince Jambas and transformed himself into the child, and also he created the snake around his body and sitting on the king's lap. So when the king saw that, sitting on the prince's lap, so when the prince saw that, he got frightened, he was very scared, and then he asked, "Who are you? Why are you doing like this?" Then the baby Theravādha said, "I am Theravādha." And then the prince asked, can you perform the magic more than this? Then he turned back into the monk, the monk forms. And then he said, of course, this kinds of psychic power or this kinds of, magic is nothing. I can do more than this. I have more psychic powers. And then from that day onwards, this Prince Ajatasattu had the very strong faith in the monk, Devadatta. And then he now, because he accepted him as the teachers, now he follows the advice. He followed his advice. He followed the Devadatta monk advice. So then one day, Venerable Devadatta or this monk Devadatta advised him to kill his father or the king. So then the prince thought, our teacher or this Devadatta monks, he has the psychic power. Therefore, he may knows that something may happen to me if I do not kill my fathers. And one day, he hid the small knife in the cloth, and he went to the king's chamber. And then, because this is the first time for him to kill anyone, so he was very shaking. He was very agitated. So the minister saw that, and then they catch the prince, and then they search all his body, and they found the small knife, and then they inform the situation, what happened to the king. Then the king Bimbisara asked his son, "Oh son, why are you doing like this?" Then the son or the prince said, I want to control the kingship. Then the king said, of course you are going to be the king. You are my son. Why are you doing like that? But the son or the prince said, I want to be the king right now. Then because the king Bimbisara was Sotapanna, the stream emperor, so he said that, okay, then tomorrow I will hold over, I will give you the kingship. Then I will satisfy. Then the prince said yes. So then tomorrow also the king hand over the kingship to the prince, and then the prince also became the king. Then the prince went to the monk Devadatta and said, you see now, I am the king. My father give me already the kingship. Then this bad monk, Venerable Devadatta, he said, you are very stupid prince or stupid new king. You know why your father hand over the kingship to you very easily? Because whenever he wants, he can take the kingship back. So it's better for you to kill him. Then the son or the prince said, I cannot do that. Then the Venerable Devadatta said, then you can sentence him to death. You can put him in the jail. Okay, he said, then that I can do that. So then he sentenced his father in the jail. He did not allow anyone to visit except his mothers, except the queen. So then, and also he did not allow anyone to provide the food for the king, because he wanted to sentence the king for starving till death. But the queen was hiding the food, to approach. One time she was hiding under the cloth, and then she was caught. And second time she was hiding under the bun of the hair. She also got caught by the soldier. And then the third one, she hide under the slip, under the shoes. Also, she got caught. And the fourth time, even she took a bath and applied all the food, like the curd and all, allow her body, and then ask the own kings to lick the food from that. When even that also got caught by the soldier, and then when the soldier informed the king, the new king, also the new king prohibited her mother to visit. So then her mother asked for the last time to visit the father, and then the mother asked for the forgiveness. The mother said, you see, before he was born, before he was in my womb, the doctor said that, the doctor said that this son gonna be the father killer, patricide, but you did not allow me to kill him. You see, now he are going to kill you. Then still the own king did not say anything. So she asked for forgiveness. If whatever I have done to you, which is wrong, by bodily, verbally, and mentally, please forgive me. It will be the last time that I will approach you. And then the queen was crying and then ran away. Then still the king did not pass away because he was sotapanna, so he was doing the walking meditations, so he can survive more. So when the prince got to know that also, when the new king got to know that also, he asked the barber to cut his father's feet and then apply some salt or some oil, And his father, the own king, was very painful, and also soon after that he passed away. But the day that the own king passed away was the day that the new king's son was born. So on that day, the minister informed that there were two news. One is bad, one is good. So then the new king, Ajatasattu, asked, so what is the good news? Then he said that your son was born. So then he felt love toward his son, as well as he felt the gratitude towards his father. Then he thought, when I was born, my father also loved me like now I'm loving my son. So then he was going to approach his wife, but then he stopped and he asked, wait, what was the second news? Then the minister informed the second news was your father passed away. So then he was very sad, very upset, and then he was crying and then approached his mother and asked, when I was born, did my father love me? Then the mother answered, of course, you stupid son. Your father loved you so much. Even he prevented me to kill you. Even one time, when you have pus or pimple on your finger, he sucked the blood, the pus from your finger, even swallow that pus in order to stop the pain from your hand. So now you kill him, you stupid son. So then he was very sad, and it is mentioned that from that day onwards, he could not sleep properly. He was very agitated, and he also maybe got haunted by the image of his father. But luckily, he has a very good friend, that is the Jivaka. So this Jivaka man, he took the Ajatasattu kings to the Buddhas. It is mentioned in Maṅgalasutta. So he took to the Buddhas and he listened to the Buddhas. He listened this Maṅgalasutta from the Buddhas. After that, he could sleep happily. But after finish discourse, after finish this discourse, the Sutta, the Buddha mentions that if he did not kill his father, then he gonna become the noble person. He gonna become noble persons. He gonna become the Sotapanna. But now since he killed his father, he has no opportunity to become Sotapanna. So this is the very big loss for the king Ajatasattu. And surely the one who killed his father, his mother, will go to the hell, surely. So then after he passed away, he ended up reborn in the hell. Even now also he was in the hell. Therefore you see, because of he associated the bad monk, Theravādha, who persuaded him to kill his father, so his life completely destroyed. And now he was born in the hell. So this is the very good story to say that we should avoid the bad person. So therefore, to summary, today we are talking about the term Vāda. We discussed the two ways of discerning the characteristic of the fools, and also we discussed the dissociating asevana, the term asevana, and also we tell the story of the king Ajatasattu. So by learning this, I hope you're gonna bring this kinds of knowledge, to measure, to compare who you should associate by using the 5 characteristics mentioned by Akiti, or 2 characteristics, or the 3 characteristics mentioned by the Buddha. Then you will know who is the fool, who is the wise. And if that person is the fool, then you avoid it. Then your life will become better. Your life, if you associate the good person, then your life will getting better. Your wife will getting better, and also anything will getting better. But if you associate the wrong persons, then because this is the starting, then everything will be very bad. Then your life gonna getting worse and worse. Therefore, the first blessing is very important, dissociating from the fool. This is the very important. That's why the Buddha prays at the beginnings. Right? If you associate the bad person, then the whole life is also gone. Like the Buddha also mentioned that the whole, like the Buddha once mentioned that the whole of holy life is also depend on the good friends. In the same way, in the bad ways, the destruction of the life also may based on the bad friends. Therefore, the first blessing, in order to flourish your life, in order to make your life better, then you should avoid the bad person, evil persons. So there is the advice given by the Buddhas. So by listening to this Dhamma talk, I wish you get the knowledge and use this knowledge to improve your life, and also may you be well, happy, and attain Nibbana as soon as possible. May the Triple Gems bless you.